urban cannibals that ate more than 30 people, bro. Let me tell you something, bro. There is nothing more that interests me more than cannibals, bro. Like, I don't know why, but I like watching these cannibal videos for some fucking reason, bro.
2017. Breaking news. A cannibal couple has been arrested, and it is speculated that they are responsible for killing at least 30 people. More information soon, but for now, the details are
Killing over 30 people and eating them, bro. I don't even know 30 people. I just have like 10 friends, that's it.
gory, with the police releasing footage of decapitated human bodies and body parts. Who was this couple, and what's the full story behind their dastardly actions? Normal beginnings and life crises. The best place to start is always the beginning. Dimitri Bak was born on the 28th of January 1982 and had his early childhood at an orphanage in southern Russia. It was said that his birth parents were drunkards and could not afford to cater for him. So he stayed under the care of the orphanage for 3 years before a married couple adopted him. For over a decade, he seemed to be living a pretty normal life and was set to grow up a healthy young man. But like most stories of people who ventured into the dark side, something changed his life trajectory forever. His adoptive mother became terminally ill with cancer. After a long battle, she passed away, leaving Dimitri at the mercy of his adoptive father, who changed drastically and became violent after the death of his wife. Eventually, he was thrown out of the house and left to navigate life on his own. After several months of putting up at the houses of well-meaning individuals who would
He killed him.
initially tried to help him, but eventually get fed up and turn him away. He succumbed to homelessness. He decided that he would figure out his life on his own, and so his venture into the world of crime began, but was quickly cut short after he robbed a store. In a frantic attempt to escape, he robbed a car, but the robbery was promptly reported, and Dimitri was chased down, arrested, and given a 2-year prison sentence. This marked the beginning of another phase of his life, the one where he was both lonely and alone. He had no friends or family to check up on him while he was in prison, and none to go to when he finished his prison term. But one thing he needed more than people to hang out with was a means of livelihood, so he could get a place to stay and food to eat. Shortly after leaving jail, he secured a job at a construction site and started to earn enough to get by. This did not make him less of a loner, as his co-workers stated that he often kept to himself and preferred to hang around in bars where he never drank, and spent time with drunkards and drug addicts. For some reason,
It spend times with drunker and drug addicts. But if there's a person around you who, okay, let's say for example, you with your 5 homies and y'all all do, Mary J, drink booze or drink beer, anything, or smoke, and one of your friends doesn't smoke or doesn't do that a lot, something ain't right with that dude, but you should probably check on him. But he also doesn't smoke or drink because he doesn't want to, and that's okay.
he seemed to enjoy their presence, and love soon came calling. Her name was Natalia. Born on the 25th of January 1975, she was about 7 years older than him. They had one thing in common: she had lost her mother as a child. However, this did not affect her life as badly as it affected Dimitri. She was catered for by family members and went ahead and received standard education. By 19, she had decided to proceed to medical school, where she became a nurse and rose to the position of senior nurse at the sanitation department of Krasnodar. In the course of her career, she was assigned to a military school where she met a military officer who became her first husband. Not much is known about him and the relationship they shared, but they had a child together before he died. This devastating situation had her seeking solace in alcohol and drugs. It turned her life upside down, and she was often out of jobs, looking unkempt and living recklessly. Her favorite spot for hanging out became the bar, where she would drink herself into a stupor. Dimitri and Natalia became friends and started dating shortly after. Several months into their relationship, they decided it was time to move in together. It seemed like a convenient arrangement. They were both struggling to
Why, this is normal. When did they start eating all the humans?
get by. Dimitri could save on rent since Natalia was living in the military dormitory she had inherited from her husband after his passing. Things were going pretty well, and they decided to get married 5 years later. By now, you're probably wondering what happened to her son. Well, he'd been living with his mother and her newfound love until he decided to move out. Natalia's drinking habit had only gotten worse, and with a boyfriend who had a penchant for being unkempt, the house was in a perpetual state of chaos.
Boy, that's the house?
The house was in a
That's the house? But I'd be damned if I grew up in a place like that, bro. I'd rather grow up back in the woods. Just
perpetual state of chaos. The son, whose identity is unknown and was scarcely mentioned in all the stories of this cannibal couple, decided that he needed to set out on his own. The newlywed couple moved to a new location to
Hey, but I don't blame the bro. If your mom and dad were eating people, bro, you would have moved out too.
begin a new lease on life, but it turned out that they had walked hand in hand into the very throes of hell to perpetuate unmentionable horrors. A startling discovery. On the 11th of September 2017, construction workers were going about their day, and everything seemed pretty normal, until an unexpected turn of events brought them face to face with gory sights they had never before seen or expected to see in their lifetime. Somebody spotted a phone on the sidewalk and thought it rather unfortunate that someone had lost their phone, so they alerted the other workers. However, no one at the site laid claim to it or had any idea of who could be the owner, so they decided to do a mini investigation for any clues on who to contact. There was no password on the phone. They easily gained access and began to look through the images. It was then that they found the disturbing images that had police sirens wailing a few days after. The pictures included a selfie of an unknown man posing with the decapitated head of a female and sticking human fingers that had been cut off from the rest of the body into his mouth and nostrils. It was like a virtual horror show, with more pictures of severed body parts and dead humans. At this point, there was no need to call anyone except the police, which they did immediately. After just a few days, the police traced the phone's owners. They were Dimitri and Natalia Bak.
Bro, Mr. Byrne in his prime was crazy, bro. Bro, this dude looks guilty of anything he was accused of. He didn't. No, he littered. He was guilty. He had a parking ticket. He was guilty. He touched someone. Death penalty. But this dude just looks evil, bro.
But the discovery
Her wife is sexy, but she can get this pipe though. Like she ain't.
of the missing phone was just the beginning of the horrors the police would discover. On arriving at their home, it was indeed a hellhole, with a trail of death visible throughout the residence. During the police raid, they found pictures of dead bodies in different horrifying states, some of them including the couple taking up disturbing poses with the bodies. In the fridge, there were also human parts in jars, pieces of human skin and frozen body parts. It became glaringly obvious that this couple were not only murderers, but also cannibals who had been at it for years. But let's not jump ahead of ourselves. We'll get into the details of their crimes and how it all played out in the next chapter. In addition to these despicable discoveries, there was a handwritten recipe book on how to prepare different human parts.
I kind of want to see the recipe now. Is that bad? But how the fuck do you know how to cook someone?
It appeared to have been written by the wife, Natalia, and videotaped tutorials on taking a body apart and carving out specific types of meat and fat from the body were also found. If you need to take a break to catch your breath, now would be the best time to do so, because there's much more. Natural human hair taken from a dead female body was also present at the scene, but it was a shocking photo that left a confusing clue. A decapitated head set up as a Christmas dinner on a
As a Christmas dinner. Y'all finna disrespect my Jesus' birthday like that, bro. Why?
silver platter and decorated with oranges all around it. It had an inscription showing the date, December 1999. That would make it 18 years old. Could it be? Could it be that the cannibal couple had been prowling around and cutting up victims for nearly 2 decades? Their gory crimes. Their strategy was to search out vulnerable people battling substance abuse and other forms of addiction via dating sites or other obscure places where they felt their crimes would go unnoticed. They would then lure them to a secluded place or their home with a promise of surplus alcohol and drug them with a tranquilizer called Corvalol, which would make it easy to attack and murder them. The evidence in their homes reflected such tremendous skill in dismembering and storing dead human bodies that it made one wonder where they had garnered such expertise. When Dimitri was arrested and interrogated,
But he is not regretting any single thing right now, bro. You can see the sadness in his face, but that dude is lying like crazy.
he maintained that he was innocent. This baffled the
Innocent of what? Eating and killing over 30 people?
police, especially since there were pictures of him posing with the body parts. At first, he claimed that he had found them in a bush and decided to take pictures with them.
How do you find dead 30 people in the bush? This ain't no cartel Mexico.
The stories did not add up, and after more questioning, he eventually confessed to killing a 35-year-old woman, Elena Vashrusheva. She was a waitress at a bar and lived close to the couple, but it is unclear what relationship they shared and how deeply acquainted they were with one another. What is clear, however, is that the Bakshiv couple murdered and dismembered her, then went ahead to cook and eat her remains, while also disposing of some other body parts in the surrounding bushes. During investigations, it was reported that the trio was hanging out in an abandoned block of flats and downing bottles of alcohol when an intense argument broke out. Natalia reportedly began to accuse Elena of trying to seduce her husband, and the two began to exchange words until Natalia asked her husband Dimitri to kill her supposed rival. He attacked her immediately, stabbing her violently and repeatedly until she died. The wife was said to have also participated in the killing, and they both began to take the body apart piece by piece. The cannibal duo then packed the pieces, with the husband placing them in his backpack as they headed for their apartment. During the raid on the house by the police, body parts believed to be Elena's were found in their freezer and even in a pan on the cooker. This is where it gets even more riveting. A report by a retired Air Force communications officer, Sergei Labintsev, who happened to be acquainted with the couple, suggests that the accusations of seduction were simply a ploy, and their main intent was to murder. Labintsev mentioned that their arrest brought back a memory that made him tremble, as he now came face to face with the fact that they could have killed and eaten him too. Less than 2 months before their arrest, they were at his home when Dimitri suddenly had a violent outburst and said he was jealous of the retired officer's relationship with his wife. Labintsev was confused as the accusation was baseless and out of place, but he had put his military training to good use when Dimitri swung at him with a stool and almost hit him from behind. After dodging the attack, Natalia jumped on him too, trying to cause him harm, but he managed to throw the two of them out of his house and called a taxi to take them away from the premises. He never saw them again until the news of their arrest and sinister crimes began to make the rounds. Sergei Labintsev escaped, but not many were as lucky. It is believed that aside from Elena, they had killed several dozen others. The building where Elena was killed was dubbed their killing.
Boy, she's fine as shit though. Like, bro, you seeing this? You seeing this? But what if she gives you a BJ, right? How would you feel? Like, bro, she's looking at you like, yeah, this is for you. This is for you, big boy.
Crypt. It was an abandoned block of flats intended for military housing, but was never completed, and it was in this place that they carried out several murders. Several body parts had been found in the building, including a hand, earlier that year during the spring season, yet no one raised the alarm. You're probably already horrified, but the story gets even more twisted, and you need to hear this. Natalia and her husband lived in a hostel at a military academy in a southern Russian town called Krasnodar. Natalia baked and sold meat pies to people in the academy, including student pilots.
Baked meat. Wait, was he selling human parts to others?
And other trainees. She even went ahead to supply some local eateries. It was quite unsettling, but after the arrest, it was rumored and suspected that she had been using human meat for her baked goods all along. Further investigation and interviewing of the people who lived and worked close to the couple revealed that the former nurse turned murderer and cannibal had also approached restaurant and cafe owners with the offer of supplying meat to them, and even searching for a job as a chef. She seemed to be looking for a viable market to sell human meat. None of the people she approached gave her jobs, recalling that she looked unkempt and vulgar. In retrospect, their fleeting encounters with the couple sent shivers down the spines of neighbors and other locals. Many people who knew them had always suspected there was something fishy about them. The husband was always looking shabbily dressed and smelly, while his wife was a chronic drunkard who frequently had fits of rage, but they never imagined that they were hiding such a dark secret. The signs were there. One shopkeeper recalled seeing blood dripping from Dimitri's backpack as he went out of the store after topping up his phone. Natalia confessed that she and her husband had committed these horrific crimes for several years and killed as many as 30 victims, yet this claim was never ascertained. However, it would seem that there is, in fact, some truth to it, because jars of pickled human flesh, cans of steamed human meat, and at least 19 slices of skin were found in the home. They seemed
19 slices of skin.
Even to have pictures with all of their victims, as Natalia identified some of them using the photographs found in their homes. Several mobile phones belonging to different people suspected to be victims of their cannibalism were also found littered around the apartment. Fortunately, their nemesis caught up with them, and it was time to face the law. Facing the law. Dimitri and Natalia, who were 35 and 42 respectively at that time, were arrested and remanded in police custody.
Death penalty. I'm hoping on a death penalty. Please, 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 please.
At the same time, investigations were being carried out into the evidence found and their shocking confessions. A psychologist was introduced to the interrogation process to get information from the couple. However, their claim of killing 30 men and women could not be confirmed by the police, who said that they only had enough evidence pointing to the death of 2 women. Questions were raised about the mental capabilities of Natalia, who had made most of the confessions.
Wait, 2 people. You only accused them of killing 2 people, and she was running around trying to sell meat to other people. You think how much? Okay, look, if average human, they weigh around 200 pounds, right? A 200 pounds of meat is like around this. This is around my 2 hands. You see around, this is 2 walls. You can't see them. But that's 200 pounds of meat. So I'm pretty sure they killed over more than 40 people. I'm guessing.
And after analysis by a psychiatrist, she was declared mentally healthy. Yet, she tried to twist the narrative for favor of herself, claiming that she was mentally ill and had previously checked herself into a mental institution after the death of her first husband. The records were searched out, and her claims turned out to be true. She had indeed visited several psychiatric hospitals, claiming that she had a mental anomaly and asking to be checked in. However, the records also show that she had been certifiably mentally fit at each of these clinics and discharged. In February of 2019, almost 2 years after they were initially arrested, Natalia was found guilty of incitement to commit murder and given a 10-year sentence in a penal colony and 18 months in guilty of incitement to commit murder and given a 10-year sentence.
A 10-year sentence, bro. Hey, but I hope to God the victim's family find Natalia, and end her. Bro, I swear to bro, what if you found one of your family members got eaten and got killed? They found that nigga in Eden. What would you do? I would have brought my and go crazy.
In a penal colony and 18 months in jail. She sought an appeal for the sentence, but the judgment was upheld, and she is still serving a sentence to date. On the other hand, Dimitri was sentenced to 12 years and 2 months to be served in a maximum
Wow, he's gonna come back and do the same shit, bro. It doesn't matter.
security prison. However, it appears that the weight of the law was too heavy for Dimitri, who succumbed to death in 2020, barely 1 year into his sentence. He was said to have developed type 1 diabetes in prison, which remained untreated, but based on the precedent laid out in the trial, some people believe that foul play might have been involved. His death has left a huge hole in the unresolved puzzle of what exactly happened. The number of victims who had their lives snuffed out by the cannibal couple and their identities. But Natalia remains in jail, serving her sentence, and perhaps in the years to come, more light will be shed on the surprisingly murky story. The crime is puzzling, but even more troubling is how it seemed to have been handled so shoddily. Surprisingly, the couple was not charged with any cannibal crimes. During investigations, despite all the different pictures of decapitated bodies and fragments of frozen body parts sent to laboratories for examination, Vadim Bugaenko, the head of the investigation
Oh, this dude was he was in this too, bro. He was assistant, but he assisted this crap. He was in this too.
Department of the Russian Democratic Republic for the Krasnodar Krai revealed that all the remains were of one person. At this time, the city was already agog with the news of the cannibal couple, and people with missing loved ones feared the worst, that the people they were searching for had been eaten by the sinister killers. Several rumors shrouded this case, but the committee set up to investigate the matter insisted that there was only one murder. There were claims that the military academy where they had lived did everything possible to avoid being dragged into the case, as it could affect the institution's reputation. Many are of the